jumping on in, I am a big fan of Matthew Vaughn. You guys have both worked with many directors. I'm curious, what is it really like working with Matthew Vaughn that perhaps for fans of his that maybe they wouldn't expect or wouldn't know?
Matthew's one of the great entertainers. Not only does he know what an audience wants, he kind of knows what they don't know they want. And he, whatever you say about Matthew, the Kingsman in particular, I think Kingsman fans don't expect only to be satisfied with the next, they expect to be surprised. Right. And this film certainly does that, and Matthew, he's an extraordinary director. His kind of, his camera grammar is something I've never experienced before. He seems to have a cinema in his head, and he's able to project decisions onto that screen in his head in the moment, on the day. So he's leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else on the floor, in terms of how the language of the camera and how the camera is going to impact the audience when it's projected. He has that innate capability, to do that. And it's a real kind of, it's humbling to be around, to watch someone work at that level, I was a huge fan of his work anyway, and I'm an even bigger fan of him as a person, but as a director, it's and he's also kind of, as cutting edge as he is, he's also quite old-fashioned, in the sense that he doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't come with politeness. If he doesn't like something, he will shout across the floor, "Boring!" And I kind of love that factory floor vibe, that you're just there to work, and to get this thing built and done and ready for production. So yeah, a joy to work with.
I would think that I had met him for the first time about a decade ago, shortly after they finished Snatch. But I had met him many years before that, while I was a model in Paris, moving to California, and he was a young filmmaker, in Hollywood. I did not know, and so he knew a roommate of mine, and so over the years I had met with him shortly after they finished Snatch, and was in the hopes of potentially working with him, and so this came about, and it was like a very no-brainer yes, and because I've admired so much of his work, and obviously given the first two installment of Kingsman that had been very successful, and you knew he's got a particular style, and obviously the fans of Kingsman have a high expectation coming onto his films, because once you see this way of this particular sort of like a action sequence, in the next film he will exceed himself.
Speaking of action sequences, I loved the fight between you guys. That whole the whole sequence with the way that Matthew had you, like, with jujitsu and karate and also Russian ballet. Like, it was one of the most unique things I've seen this year. Can you sort of, both of you, talk about filming that sequence, because it looks so great on film and it's unlike things that people are going to see?
Yeah, we spent, Djimon and I and Ralph and Harris, spent like months in readying ourselves physically in order just to complete a day, just in terms of stamina. It took 2 or 3 weeks to shoot that sequence. And then, of course, so we worked with a trainer, and then we worked with the stunt team daily, for months, trying to come up with versions and variations of what that fight might be, but more specifically trying to find a language that was a physical language that was unique to Rasputin. Matthew was very keen to explore that, and we tinkered with everything, but we kind of weren't quite getting there. And Matthew burst into the stunt room one day and said, "I've got it! Russian dancing and martial arts, mix them up, you know, and that again, you know, is testament to Matthew's crazy but brilliant mind, you know. And then of course this exquisite stunt team that we were working with under Brad Allen, who sadly passed away, slowly but surely came up with this this kind of satanic marriage between these two disciplines, and it was formulated, and then we worked, you know, intensively, and albeit separately, you know, with stunt doubles to work on the fights, and then finally we came together on the set and shot it, and it was a world of pain. And it really was, wasn't it? I mean, it was just, it was tough, hard going work, not just for us, obviously. It's the accumulation of the work of, you know, tens of people who are the top of their game. You know, I can't stress that enough. Stuntmen, two wonderful Georgian dancers from Georgia who were flown over. It was a huge kind of collaboration, and it's really satisfying as an actor to walk away from that and then see the finished product. You know, it's really kind of moving, actually, because you know that it involved the dedication of so many people over weeks and months.
Indeed.
For sure.
Indeed. Quite painful experience. I mean, yes,
well, maybe.
I mean, listen, I've been in a number of films, you know, action-driven films before, and coming on to Matthew films, you know, I thought, okay, I had a, you know, great background of in martial art and boxing, and I thought, okay, this should, you know, just show me what you want to do. And so to show me it wasn't as, you know, that simple. I end up doing so much training, and some of the training led to a bit of an injury, and that injury, you had to nurse the injury. And certainly every time I heard action, I would put myself together and act like as if I didn't have, you know, yeah, painful knee. So yeah, and that experience in itself, like Rhys said, you know, when you see the finished product, it's quite gratifying. So that, in essence, I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, it really turned out great. This is my last question for you guys. I love talking to actors about the way that they prepare for like a big scene. I love learning about how they prep as actors. So for both of you guys, if you have like a big scene on, pardon me, on like a Monday, and you know it's going to be emotionally charged or take a lot out of you, can you sort of talk about how you're getting ready to do that scene? Is it like a week in advance, a month in advance, how you get ready for an emotionally charged scene?
I have it playing quietly in my interior distance. You know, it's not something that's at the forefront of my mind. I like scenes like that to take me by surprise. You know, in some ways you can over prepare. You know,
yes.
Yeah. It's and on a day like a big scene like that, generally I'd have like a quiet day, you know, not a day of study, not necessarily even a day of preparation, you know, just a day of you want to kind of come to it with come at those scenes with an innocence, and let the moment surprise you.
Surrender to that. The mood of that moment, surrender to that. I would say a bit of the preparation starts early, and just to get an essence of where you're at in a story or in a scene, this particular scene, what is your backstory prior to that, and then work out all those little bitty things. And the day of, it's more of a meditation day, just for that scene, I think.
On that note, I got to stop. I'm just going to say again how much I enjoyed this movie and your guys' performances. Thank you so much for giving me your time.
Thank you so
Holidays,
much.
yeah.
Happy holidays.